The window motors themselves definitely need to be replaced. Listen to this.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the E30 M3 S54 project. My name is Frank, and please like and subscribe if you haven't already. We are in another episode of this. We are moving forward on getting this thing on the lift. Now, what are we going to do while it's on the lift? Well, in this video, we're going to be doing axles, we're going to be doing undercar stuff like brake lines and fuel line routing, and we're going to try to see what we can do with that differential and get that installed as well. But first, we need to do all the door panel stuff, and by that I mean we have all the window regulator. We got the window to install, we got the regulator assembly, we've got the locks to install. That's all kind of part of the little details that are a little bit more boring in this type of project. But hey, we got to move forward with all that stuff anyway, regardless. We've got some S54 stuff to do as well. We have to final install our valve cover, our throttle body. We've got to get our starter on, and then we got to get our wiring harness on. So if we're lucky, we might be able to do that in this video as well. Guys, stand by. You don't want to miss it. So every single one of these parts had overspray on it. So we really just need to clean all the overspray off and make sure that we can expose as much of the plating as possible. This is a riveted assembly that I do not plan on taking apart and disassembling to completely clean. This is going to be an assembly that will be basically cleaned as is, and we'll just make sure that the functionality is still there. But we're using lacquer thinner and aircraft remover in order to remove the all of this gunk, the oil, and we're going to end up oiling it back up to make sure that everything runs properly.
So these are all the parts for both sides. And that's right, all of this needs to go in each of the doors. We've disassembled just about everything we possibly can, and we've got some leftover parts and hardware that we need to figure out where it goes. We've got doubles, triples, and even quadruples of certain things, but we've thinned it all out, and we will just need to put this whole thing together like a jigsaw puzzle. We've got our assembly here. This is for the driver door, and this is ready to go. And we've replaced or made sure that we've got all the grommets in place. Now, it's very important to get these grommets installed. Without that, it's going to be very loose, and the door is not going to feel, rattles, and you're just going to, it's not good. So it's not a good factory restoration. So what we're doing now is we're installing this, putting it in here just like this. And now you got our screws. We're going to be CAD plating our screws here, but we're going to get it installed just for now. But this guy here goes to our door handle, and we'll be ready to continue on with our central locking and get the wiring installed. And then, of course, the last thing to do is the regulator. So we'll do that. All right, so we are just about done here. We put the guides on. We'll zoom out here. We put the guides on here for the windows. We definitely need to get new seals inside of here. The motor actually works, which is awesome. And we've gotten everything pretty much buttoned up here. Everything works very well. We've tested everything. We've gotten our guy installed here, which works really good. Right? So that all works. And now it's just a matter of making sure that we can get the window in, which shouldn't be too difficult. And we can move on to the passenger side. Just a 2-pole motor, and it operates a ring gear mechanism through a worm gear mechanism inside the motor. And when you go down, you're literally just moving those arms down. That's moving the entire window down the track. Let's go up. Okay. Reverse polarity, and the whole thing goes up.
What we found out is that this 30-year-old motor is really just not as strong as we thought it would be, so we're actually going to be replacing it anyway later on. So now we're just basically going through the passenger door and getting the door lock mechanism and the latch installed. Really relatively simple. Everything only fits in one specific direction. Once we got everything installed there, then the regulator assembly installed pretty quickly.
Okay, so now I wanted to focus a little bit more on the plating. Now we are plating a few parts here. I got this in a in our degreaser bath right now. These are the door jamb pawls for the doors, and we've got our hardware as well. These are the things that you're gonna see when you open and close the doors. So I wanted to make sure that it's nice and clean. Now I've got these guys sitting, and they've been cleaning. And now it's a matter of putting it into the actual CAD bath with a certain current and getting them plated, I don't know, the zinc color and the CAD plated color, which is the gold.
So typically when you plate parts, they have to be steel, not aluminum. Aluminum does not plate like zinc. So we're taking the parts, we clean them up with a degreaser bath, then we put them in this muriatic acid that you see here, and this is what really does all the work. This actually exposes the metal for what it is. In the time lapse, you can see that it's taking all that black coating off completely and exposing the metals for what it truly is. And from there, then you can actually put them into the plating bath. So we take them out of the muriatic acid, we put it into our distilled water rinse, we dry them off, and then we put them into the CAD zinc coating bath, which is an electrically controlled with the current that we set. Here we're setting it to about 3.7 amps and sitting it for about 15 minutes.
Now we've got this gasket here. This gasket is brand new, and it installs inside of this little pane here. And the idea is that there's a cloth inner lining that the window slides on throughout the guide. And it's very easy to install it. All you gotta do is just fold it in half, and you just gotta push it into the guide, and then you're in good shape. This actually goes all the way down through the guide that you installed here and the other guide that's over here. So you kind of have to make sure that you install it all the way in inside there, which I think is probably the hardest, most difficult part. We're gonna start at this corner here. This is the 120-degree corner. And I'm just gonna kind of start pushing it down.
Installing the window gasket is actually kind of satisfying because when you get it in all the way, you kind of know, you feel that satisfying click. And here too, when you're putting in the B-pillar trim on the inside of the door panel. Here we're actually zinc coating. We can see we've actually zinc coated, and we've gone through the first stage of it, I guess you can say. So it's kind of shiny. It can actually be shinier. We did our door pawls, the zinc coating, and we've done our hardware, the CAD plating, as you can see. And now we're starting to go into the window. So this window was actually previously tinted, so we had to remove all the old tint glue off, and now we're installing it just like this. And I think this is really the only way you can install these windows, especially for the late model regulator assemblies. So we put the front part of the window in first, and then the rear part in goes, secondly. And there are two rails. You can see right down in there with my left hand that's where the rails are. You have to put the larger rail into the first roller first, and then the smaller one in second. But there is actually a modular mechanism in there that actually pivots and moves. So that needs to be moved out of the way first for you to get those two rollers in. And then when you do get them both in, that's the hard part. Now what you can see what I'm doing here is I'm trying to level off the window in the location it's in. So in order to level the window off, you need to make sure that the back side of the window and the front side of the window teeter and level off as it's going into the gasketing guides that I installed. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do here, is I'm trying to guide the window into those gaskets that I installed and also rotate the window into its final position. And you see here, as I get really close, it kind of starts to make a little bit more sense when we start getting really close with that rotation, and there it is. So now it's very, very close. So now that the window's kind of set in place, we can reinstall the orbiting mechanism there that has two M6 nuts on it, and then you got to test the window with a separate power supply. You can see it goes up and down pretty smoothly. And now we're installing our hardware that goes on the door pawl. This is the gold CAD plated hardware, and it looks really nice. And now we're talking about our rear seat. So we need to actually cut parts of the seat out, and you can see we've cut that piece of the foam out. Ignore the blue marking, that was all kind of preliminary. But we cut out our foam in a very specific location for us to be able to install our seat around the C-pillar holders for the roll bar, and it looks pretty good, I think. And now we're actually playing with the door panels. We've got our, this is two different door panels. We've got an actual carbon fiber panel, and then we also have a very special one that we'll show you in the next couple of episodes. So what I decided to do was remove the regulators from the windows and try one more time to really clean them, and using scraper tools and wire brushes was the answer here. So you just really need to get in there and get all that old glue off. I mean, get in between the teeth there and get all that off. And once you use the wire brush to remove all that old gunk, you need to add new. So we ended up putting in new professional lube, and yeah, look how smooth that is. It's so much better than it was before, and I think that that's going to complement the windows.
All right, so while we wait for the new window motor regulators and motors to arrive, we're going to end up just taking this puppy and moving it over to the other bay. The reason we're doing that is because we need to start working underneath. We need to get the bumper on. We need to start working on the front cowling, oil cooler, power steering cooler. All that stuff in the front is going to be very easily accessible when it's on the lift and up above, kind of like that red Henna M3 is. So we're going to take this guy, we're going to scoot it over, and we're going to do a quick assessment underneath the car.
So here we are, moving the car into the space that it's going to probably live for, I don't know, maybe about a month. We're going to get this thing started in this space. We're going to be reassembling the entire underneath of this thing while it's here, and that's why I'm being very careful about where I place my jack points so that I can actually work on certain things without those lift arms getting in the way. And yeah, so as we lift it up, we just get to see what's going on underneath. I've never seen it like this before. This car's never been on the lift. It's always been either in paint or on the ground, so it's kind of cool to see everything from underneath. And here we go, looking really good. I'm very excited to see what there is to expect.
And here it is, a first look at this thing from underneath.
I mean, everything is brand new, right? I mean, every piece of hardware is zinc coated. Every clip is brand new. Everything within the engine is brand new or powder coated. And now here we are installing our half shafts, which again, brand new half shafts going into brand new bearings. So it just snaps right in place.
All right, we've got our half shafts installed. We have to fully torque them when the car's on the ground, but that's not a problem, but they are in. And now we need to focus on the front just a little bit. What we have is this is a CSF oil cooler, and that thing needs to install right up front here. And this is actually gonna be a bit of a challenge. We're gonna have to do some modifications in order to get it to work. So we're gonna have to basically cut, maybe weld a bracket or two, make some rivet nuts in there, and we can get them in. But in order to know exactly where it will fit in space, we need to install the bumper. And the bumper is right here. So we need to get basically the fixins installed on the bumper. We don't have sliders right now, but that's okay. We're gonna end up doing something. We're gonna try acquiring sliders separately. And then we'll be able to install the bumper, figure out where this oil cooler is installed, and we'll probably end up doing that more or less in the next episode. Stay. No, get out. Go, that way. Yeah, I don't want you to get in front, that's all.
So this is kind of an interesting process. Definitely an order of operations here when it comes to the M3 bumper. Yeah, we definitely need to have our turn signals installed prior, but I wanted to see how all of these rivets would work. And this tool is actually the tool that's used for removing exhaust flanges and the rubber grommets from the exhaust hangers. And I'm telling you, it worked so good for pressing these on. There was absolutely no issue. It felt so satisfying using this tool to install these pins that I just felt like I just wanted to do them over and over and over again. But yeah, so it worked out really well.
So there you go, guys. We made a lot of progress today. We did some real detail work on the windows, and we got this thing on the lift, which is important because now we can start working on the underside. In the next video, you're gonna see a very detailed illustration, a step-by-step how-to on how to rebuild our medium case differential. We're gonna be going with a 346 gear, limited slip, 3 clutch setup from Racing Diffs. It's gonna be awesome. You don't wanna miss that video, and it is coming out next week. Tell your friends, tell everybody you know about it. Comment, like. Thanks a lot for watching. My name is Frank. Take it easy. Later.